Here's a quick look at B-roll Genie. So what I've got here is my friend's narration. He does like a UFO and conspiracy channel, and he does these talking head narrations. What he needs is like B-roll video, images, video, that sort of thing to be generated to give his stories and his videos more flair, more flavor. So what I've created is an automatic B-roll generator. That's B-roll Genie that we're taking a look at right here. So here's the initial track, and what I was able to actually do with this is select all of the audio. I go over to automatic over here and I click generate B-roll from selection. We'll go through this in a tutorial right after I quickly show you the results. And what I initially get back is a bunch of images which are now, well, let's actually mute that, a bunch of images that are now corresponding to the different parts of his story. He's talking about the 3I Atlas comet that's entering the in our solar system at the moment. So the next layer of this is actually, okay, so we've got our static images in the background. These are nice, you might just go with that. But what if you wanted to turn these into video? Well, you can do that too. I'm going to actually hide the image layer and turn on the video layer. And as you can see right over here, I've actually only done this one right here. And so we've got like this image which has now been turned into a clip. This is basically something that can be done for any image, any video, any clip. It's really easy to do on any image in your timeline. So all you have to actually do is select the image or images in your timeline. You go over here to generate, you click image to video, you give it a bit of time to process, and then you've got all of the videos aligned to the specific part of the narration where they belong. And that's the really cool thing. When you do the automatic B-roll, what we do is we analyze the audio that you've decided to generate B-roll from, and we look at the different timestamps and we say, okay, what's the entire context of the video meant to be about? Okay, and what is this specific part of the video meant to be about? In this point right here, he's talking about the radio stations observing the asteroid. In this point, I don't remember exactly what he's talking about. Oh yeah, the intersecting the comet with time itself, or something like that, right? So we've got this kind of nice animation between the comet entering into a space of time itself. I think actually that video transition came out really nicely. So ultimately what we get here is a sequenced set of automatic B-roll, and like I say, you can use just the image part, but you can also turn your images into video if you want to. They're actually a little smaller than the background image at the moment. That is because you can choose to generate your videos at different sizes to save cost on video generation. But I actually added a handy little feature here. If you want to just like size everything up to be the size of your full scene, then you've got basically your entire B-roll generated for you. And then what you would basically do is you're like, okay, I want to have like this much video and maybe like hide it here, and then I want to see a little bit more of the talking head for this part. And so you can kind of like trim and crop the videos. You know, when you want to have your background video actually showing in your foreground, you can kind of edit that up how you want. But the point is, you got all your B-rolls ready to go. Now, over here on the settings page, what we do is we actually connect your replicate API token and your OpenAI API key. That is because when you use B-roll Genie, we don't charge anything for generation. That is actually done directly by the APIs. So what you'll do is you'll get a replicate account and you'll get an OpenAI account, and you basically pay for the use at the kind of base lowest cost that is charged by OpenAI or replicate. Basically, these are like the bottom of the price of the price. Like there's no markup when it comes to using B-roll Genie. We don't mark up any prices. It's just pure API usage for the different models, right? And I've actually programmed in some of my favorite models, and I put in the prices for use case. I'll be adding more, and if anybody has any requests what new models they want to see added, feel free to let me know. But what I've started out here with is Flux 2, Flux 1, Seed Dream, Nano Banana, and a couple of other ones which are really cheap. Decent results, really cheap, maybe good for iteration. So for example, something like Nano Banana, which you're probably familiar with. If you've done any image generation before, it's like an excellent model, about 4 cents per image. Right? On the other hand, we've got something like Flux Schnell, which does an okay job, not as good as Nano Banana, but it's also a fraction of a cent per image, so extremely cheap. Dream Shaper even cheaper, and some of these models actually are pretty good at different types of jobs. So Dream Shaper is pretty good at like interesting illustrations, but it's also phenomenally cheap. So there's kind of use case scenario. You can study up on those yourself, or just try them out and see what kind of results you get. I've also actually programmed in a few video models here. In my opinion, the best options right now, we've got WAN 2.2, and I've chosen this one because it does a very decent job for a much lower price. This is kind of your best, well, as it says, best budget model, right? So it's about a second per video at 480p, or 2 cents per second of video at 720p. And the thing is, when you get to those resolutions, you think that they might look too low res, but they actually look pretty good. Even 480p looks pretty good as B-roll, I've found. We've also got access to Kling, their latest model 2.5 Turbo, which is more expensive, 7 cents per second of video, or 5 cents, which is also pretty good at version 1.6. These do a really good job, but they end up being about, 25 or 35 cents per 5-second video, right? So they're a little more expensive. They're maybe like ready when you're ready to do like production or something like that. You might want to test a little bit with the cheap models and then do production with the more expensive models, or you might just be happy with WAN 2.2. I actually am in a lot of cases with WAN 2.2, and actually, of course, you can actually come in here and configure the models how you want. WAN gives you some neat options like how many frames per second you want to play. If you want more frames per second, lower frames per second, and this just kind of affects cost and length of video. Kling has a few options too, but with Kling it's kind of more just kind of more standard. You don't have as many configuration options. So basically, you can choose your favorite model, choose your kind of optimal price formula, and then you can go ahead and click on generate from a B-roll. I'll do this with you guys in just a minute. You can also add some additional instructions. So you might say illustration style, right? Like Dungeons and Dragons illustration style. Maybe you do like commentary on, board games or something like that, and that's what your YouTube channel is about. Cinematic, photorealistic, blah, blah, blah. All of these different things, you can influence the automatic image prompt selection with a certain particular art style, or maybe you want to do everything as an infographic, right? Do everything as an infographic style. You could add in those, I can't spell obviously, but you can add in those custom instructions in every automatic generation. And then additionally, in addition to the automatic B-roll creation, which lets you do something all together all at once, I've also made it possible to just insert any image you want at any point in your timeline, and go ahead and just kind of type those things out. You can queue out as much as you want, and those will just kind of go enter into your generation queue, and when they're done, they'll appear in your timeline exactly where you wanted them to go, and you can basically move them around, utilize them from there. You can also select one or multiples of them, and you can say image to video. The default is cinematic camera movement, but you can do something like cat meows, right? You could do something like the cat meows here. And again, you can queue these up as well. Here we go, image to video, the dog barks, whatever you want the image to do. That's pretty cool. You can also do multiples at the same time, right? Say I have 2 images and I want to do them both to video at the same time. Let's just leave that as cinematic camera movement, then I don't have to think of what the man's going to do. Now I've queued up both of these, and when they're ready, the video will appear right over top of the image, so it's easy to find. There we go. We've got our first one already lined up. We've got our cat meows. The cat did not meow. Well, that's the thing with AI generation. Sometimes it does that. And actually, am I switched over to WAN? Yes, that's the thing. WAN does a nice job of doing decent videos. It's the cheapest model, but if you want to have a much more prompt adherence, you might want to switch over to something like Kling. More expensive, but it will pay much closer attention to the prompts that you're giving it. Let's try that one more time. Cat meows. And this time we're using Kling, and we'll see what we get. Let's see, did the dog bark? Kinda, I don't know. There we go. That's WAN for you. It's got its use case. It's it's much cheaper, but it doesn't pay. And and the video quality I think looks pretty good, but it doesn't pay as close of attention to, of course, cinematic camera movement, right? It doesn't pay as close attention to your prompting. So if you need something like just like a little movement in the background or something like that, WAN's going to be pretty good for that. If you need something specific, Kling might be a better option. Additionally, when you've generated up all of your videos and you've got all the information back, right, you can go ahead and regenerate anything that you might not have liked. Let me hide the first layer, and I'm going to open up that image layer here. If I wanted to, I could regenerate the image, and we can actually see the prompt that was used to generate this image. Now, this was generated during our analyzation of the narration down here, but if I'm like, okay, there was something wrong with this, maybe it's like, whatever, you know, that didn't come together, let's just change it. Let's change it into a cat. You can go ahead and regenerate. I don't think that would be proper, a cat in our space storyline, but let's say you wanted to. You can do that. You just regenerate it, and when it's done, it'll swap it out in place, and there we go. Now we've got our cat. What else can I tell you other than you can batch queue stuff, cancel stuff. You can, of course, select your aspect ratio, convert one image to video, multiple images to video, and feel free to convert any image that you have in your, you don't have to use a generated image to turn it into video. If you just have an image, you know, on your hard drive and you want to drag and drop here and transform that into a video, you can do that exactly the same. And that's actually all there is to it. That's pretty easy to use. Yep, I think that actually concludes our tutorial here, our getting started overview. Okay, that's it. Bye.